these cups. They came out with this cup, but then they were about to discontinue it because it wasn't taken off at first.
These things went from clearance racks in stores to in highly discounted to now that cup over there, you're paying 5-10 times the amount for the Starbucks goodie.
Hey guys, welcome to our podcast, People Bring Profits. As you know, we are owners and operators of a small business in the hospitality restaurant space and have been for over 20 years. But before we get started, if you are not a subscriber to our podcast, please go right now and subscribe. It's important for you to subscribe to our podcast so that we can reach others and inspire those that are out there in the small business space, because after all, that's what we're about.
Go hit that button.
Hit it.
Yeah. And before we kick off our topic of discussion, which I'm so excited about today, guys,
pumped up.
Let's just take a minute, if there's any new listeners out there, to introduce ourselves.
Yes. So I'm right here. Hey, I'm Chris Olexa, CEO and founder of Aspire to Be Hospitality Group.
Justin Smith, COO, Aspire to Be Hospitality Group, running ops.
There you go.
Yeah, and I'm Kimberly Olexa, one of the founders of Aspire to Be Hospitality Group, and I currently serve as our Chief Financial Officer of this group. And
my wife.
And your wife.
Let's clear that up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, guys, let's get started into this discussion that involves
I'm
the
pumped.
iconic brand Stanley.
I am pumped about this.
Yeah, me too, because, looking at this company, it's been in business for over 100 years. It started
crazy.
by William Stanley.
Yeah.
And just seeing this brand evolve to what it has.
How fast or how it's blown up here recently.
Yeah,
Man,
and just through basically the empowerment of social media. And so with that, Chris, you've taught us a lot about this company as far as history goes. So kick us off.
Am I going to be the history teacher
You
today?
are the history buff today.
Yeah.
I think I made a D. I think I made a D in
You
history
are the
back.
buff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, really, we talked about this brand a while back, and it was brought up to us to kind of bring it into our business and what we think about it. But Stanley's been around for over 100 years. And when I pitched that to y'all were like,
you told
what?
me.
Like
Yeah.
what? Yeah, so they've been around, and you kind of see this stuff that they came out with. I mean, they used to be big into camping. That was their thing, camping supplies. Go Google them. Go look at them, man. For everybody that's buying these Stanley cups, go understand what you're really buying and where they came from and the history of it. But no, this is – I love this thing. I need this. This thing will keep coffee hot for like 24 hours. This is our new travel go-to thing. And lunch kits and just the past of this company and where they came from. Everybody thinks Stanley was this cup. When you talk to people like our daughter or other people, they think Stanley was that. But then when you kind of bring it up, they've been around 100-something years. And how many generations of people that's worked through there have worked the company, ran the company. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, and just how, he focused. William Stanley, I did a little bit of research too myself on just the inventor, because he was known as the inventor, and just him creating the vacuum seal with the steel of creating this product that holds heat in. Yeah. And now, what it's known for now with the ladies and holding their drinks so cold. But yeah, it was just very interesting to me that an inventor had an idea and he created this product, and it's just been going for many
Everybody
years.
thinks it's the Yeti cup or the Arctic cup or I mean, this guy did it all back in the past, but it's really cool though.
Yeah. And so now, here we are. We have a company that's been around for 100 years. Really, people didn't really know about it until these cups came out. So, Justin, you're our social media guru or influencing. Give us some insight on how this evolved.
So how they went from 70 to 700, I think it was just them
Million,
paying,
right?
Million.
Yes,
million.
Yeah,
it kicked off with, it was a different target audience that wound up being who actually wanted to buy these. So it was 3 ladies that started selling cups to moms and daughters, and that resonated into a completely different demographic for their company to start making sales. And then, afterwards, those are the same people that are on Instagram and TikTok and all the social media platforms. They just had some crazy viral videos that they capitalized well on. I think the most known video, after they had already started really kicking it off, was the car that went
Caught
on
on fire.
went on
Yeah,
fire,
that
and
was
all that was
crazy.
left was that
Yeah.
that Stanley Cup. And then even coming back in as a company, the president the next day making another post and engaging, and it was hundreds of millions of views.
What's crazy about that fire, when I saw it come out, is like the next day they went to go look at the car to get their car seats out, and she grabbed her Stanley Cup, and this is what really went crazy. It still had freaking ice in it, man.
That's
That
the
is
power of social
wild.
media. When you have a good product,
Yeah.
and these ladies went and sold these Stanley Cups to working moms and daughters, and just a different audience than maybe the campers or whatever, or the guys that they were targeting forever. It's because it keeps the ice cold.
Yeah.
It fits in there, every compartment of everything they're putting in it. I asked my wife the other day, why do you have the Stanley Cup? It's because it's a really good product. They just weren't selling it to the right person.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
You know.
Is
Well, because ladies are not going to walk around with this thing.
well, this is
this
for my
No
coffee.
doubt. No
Can-
doubt.
This is for my coffee. You know,
And look
Yeah.
at that handle. I mean, I'm thankful for the handle though, because I will say on the Stanley Cup, the handles is what me personally I really enjoy.
well,
Yeah.
Because
today's
women-
world, you might need to walk around with this.
True.
Because somebody
Yeah.
come after you, I think
Okay.
they'll run. This little thing, they're going like, "Excuse me, ma'am."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, whatever.
Yeah,
But
true.
you know, what's crazy is like you said. But Justin, one thing that I knew too on the social part, when I went back and studied Stanley, these cups, they came out with this cup, but then they were about to discontinue it because it wasn't taken off at first.
These things went from clearance racks
Yeah.
in stores to in highly discounted to now that cup over there, you're paying 5-10 times the amount for the Starbucks goodie through social media, through influencer marketing, through getting certain personalities to say, "Hey, I love my Stanley Cup," and having it super usable and good as a product. That's nuts. In
Yeah.
the past 3 years, they 10x'd their business, and they're a 100-year-old company.
It's funny that Kim, you remember this. I mean, our daughter, right, came to you and like wanted a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, she did. And we bought our daughter a Stanley Cup. We bought all the girlfriends a Stanley Cup.
That was your Christmas
Yeah.
present. All these
Yeah,
Stanley Cups.
everybody-
Everybody
Yes.
wanted a Stanley Cup. You know.
Yeah.
That was the big craze. And so
And we didn't know really what it was because we weren't
No.
on like TikTok at the time and understood what those social influencers were doing. But man, it was crazy to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just take it a step further, what Stanley has done recently, and that's the big craze that I got the big red
It's-
Starbucks cup right here.
It's
As you can
crazy
see,
right
it's
here.
branded.
And we're part of this, I feel like, because we're, as you know, guys, we own a Starbucks. So it's like, hey, that's going to go
Yeah.
on our trophy case right there.
Yeah, so what they've done was they partnered with another iconic brand, which is Target and Starbucks.
Target.
Yeah,
Target.
or Target.
Yeah.
However you want to say it. But they partnered with another iconic brand out there that is selling their product, and they created a specific product for those brands, and people want that now.
It's crazy that I want to back up real quick in here. Kim, me and Justin were on a call the other day with some head up Starbucks people, right? And we were just talking, collaborating, about some new opportunities for us. And we brought up, they asked us, she said, what's the new topic? What are you shooting at your podcast? And we talked about the Stanley. She said, oh, the Stanley. And I pulled this cup in because we were putting it in here for the show. And the head top people threw a fit, like,
Our mouth dropped.
like, how did you
Yeah.
get that? Because
Yeah.
she said they weren't even allowed, the high up brass weren't allowed to get these cups because they wanted to go out to the consumers. So she did kind of put pressure on me, and I was like, where did you get that at? And I was like, Justin. Justin said I ordered it off online. I don't know how much you paid for it, but
Yeah.
it was your Christmas present from Justin.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
love my Stanley Cup. I have not used it. It's going back in the box because I'm going to keep
Save
it.
that baby.
Yeah, I'm going to save it. But
I'm
I-
surprised
Chris and
you're
I would
doing-
use it. You're the I'm selling it.
Well, yeah, that's what she's going to do. She would normally sell
Yeah.
it. Somebody offered her
Yes.
$50 for it, $100. So if you want to make an offer to Kim, shoot a comment
go.
across to say, because she's all about making a quick dollar.
you got to come more than a $50
That's
bill.
right.
Though,
Yeah,
bud.
we'll
That's
be
right.
negotiating with Kim, which is
In the Target video, when you saw
Yeah.
those videos,
Yeah.
people running in there grabbing them.
Man, I didn't get a Target one.
I know, but I was laughing because I'm in the mindset of like me and Justin did that with some Gary Vee products. Like we were running into Macy's that time looking for the
Yeah,
little stuffed
the
animals,
toys.
but we were trying to grab them all, and we were being greedy. But we didn't. We left some for other people. But I was watching the Target people, like they were grabbing like two, and
Yeah.
like walking off. I'm like, lady, you should grab like as many as you can.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they had a limit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But still, you're thinking because they're going to sell them on eBay, or wherever they sell them nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes.
And Stanley innovated, right? They went from the camping cup to the middle tier cup to the Starbucks cup, and these two in a very short time. So, like, one of the most, the thing that I love that Kim says is if you're not learning, you're not growing.
Yeah.
But in social media and everything you do, if you're not innovating, you're not growing either. So, three ladies selling to moms to viral TikToks to now like the new Black Friday at Target and Starbucks
Yeah.
to grab this cup, they're innovating. Stanley is innovating, and it's super cool to watch and follow them.
Yeah. So, guys, knowing what we know about the Stanley and their brand, let's reel it in and let's, give our audience, how are we as a small business company, how are we learning from such a large brand such as Stanley? How can we reel that in for us? Chris?
I want to say this, that, I look at them as a brand and think they're 100 years old. They went from 75 million to, 750 million, and hats off, because you don't see brands last that long anymore. You don't see, companies and no telling, I don't know their inner structure. I'd love to be able to have coffee with whoever was in that board meeting when they changed some stuff up and made that influencer and how that worked. That's what I'd love to learn about. But, it's like when you look at it, it's like they, Buffaloes. I'm going to use Buffaloes, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know how many logos we went through since we've been around.
Lots.
There's two pages on Google of buffaloes, and you joke with like different types of wings.
Yeah, it's like we got a wing like this. Now the wing's more Tesla-like.
Yeah.
And now this buffalo, 2 years later, we're changing out because we want his chest to bump out more.
Yeah, more on his front legs than
On his
hind
front
legs.
legs to show confidence.
Yeah,
And the
confidence.
fonts of the letters. And pay attention to that, guys, how they do their logos. And all companies do that, because there's brands that didn't change it and didn't innovate, didn't challenge themselves, didn't look for new opportunities to grow. And they're not around anymore.
Yeah.
And brands that they're changing. I'll use the Buffaloes, for example, too. We just remodeled our Beaumont store, right? And every 7 years in our contract, we have to remodel. And I hate it for the money side, but I love it for the investment side of me, because I love seeing our sales and people get excited about it, because it becomes stagnant and it makes other franchisees, upgrade their game. And we do. And when we upgraded Beaumont, we reopened it. Our daughter went in, an 18-year-old daughter, and all her friends, and they're like, "Dad, Mom, this place is so chill now."
Yeah.
And they were like so pumped up. And I was like, "Well, it wasn't a chill a year ago?" And like, "No, it was boring and blah."
Yeah.
I'm like, "It was only 7 years old. Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, but Dad, it's so nice now." And I go back to the iPhone, dude. Really? I mean, the iPhone changes every year. It hasn't really changed much, but they're always innovating it, changing it, and everybody wants the new. So hats off to this company, man. And I think as leaders and owners, we need to do that. And in any part of your business or whatever you're doing, is challenge yourself to look out where, don't do what you want, do what the society wants, or what
customer,
customer
yeah.
wants.
Yeah.
And kind of look at it, look at your consumer wants and what things you're changing and how they're shifting, and I think you got to be pivot. You got to be able to pivot that way.
Yeah. Great insight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin, like for you, looking at the Stanley overall, just the company, how does that resonate with you as, a small business owner?
Stanley, for me, in small business, is no matter how long your business has been around, if you've got a great product, to keep taking swings. And then you've got to adapt based on those swings that you're taking. So I think you just need to pay attention of like, are you on the right social media platform? And then on that platform, are you sending the same message or tweaking it for TikTok to LinkedIn to Facebook? And taking swings at different demographics and different, types of peoples that might like your product, and delivering it in many, many different ways to just maximizing your exposure and seeing what's out there. And the guests will tell you what they want. The moms wanted the Stanley, but they didn't know that for 97 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, society has evolved, though. More moms
Fair
are
enough.
out in the
Fair
working
enough,
field.
yeah.
We need the Stanley Cup.
I think it's when you talk about the presence of the social part too, I think you got to, I talk to a lot of people out there, and they're like, "Well, I'm not comfortable on social." Well, you got to be out there on it. I mean, that's how you really get yourself out there and people seeing it. Nobody would have really known this cup as much as they do now, is if they didn't, go off and take this chance or push them off to these social influencers. And they took a chance, because I think they got a little cut off of it too, if I read correctly. Like they were like, "Hey, if every cup we sell, we get like 10% of it."
Yeah, affiliate marketing, they're pushing that out there. They're grabbing a piece of the pie.
But
sure.
I do say that, but it's cool that they did that and took that chance with that.
Yeah. So, guys, for me, looking at this company, like I see 100-year-old company, 100-plus-year company. They've got these awesome products that they've come out with. They kind of were fading out, and then they resurrected themselves through the power of social media. And we're watching them continue to stay abreast of social media by partnering with these iconic brands. But for me, what I'm doing is what I'm watching Stanley just from the outside as a small business owner is like, what next? How you're on top. How are you going to stay there? Like what are they going to do going forward? Because, you sell, I know they're coming out with different colors and so forth, but how are they going to stay on top? And so for me, that's what I'm watching, this larger business, what are they going to do and how can I bring that in to my small business and kind of learn from it and grow from it?
This thing gonna float around.
Great point, though. That's a company that's innovating and doing new things versus like the Bennigan's model.
Yeah.
Where
Yes.
they literally did
Goodness
nothing. We all
gracious.
loved it.
I loved it.
loved
But
it.
but it never innovated and got better. So pay attention to those
Monte
business.
Cristo.
Yes,
the,
that
Monte-
was my
the
favorite.
French onion soup, baby. But
Man.
they never went further than that.
It's like they were around 30 years. I don't know how long they were, but they never innovated. They never changed. They
Yeah.
never, the menu always looked the same. The building looked the same. Things like, it's funny you say that, Kim, because that's your mindset, right?
Yeah.
That's where you go because in our company, I'll celebrate 2023. Like, yes, or we had a great period. And you'll look at me and Justin high five and like, man, we made our margins. We made the profits we wanted. We hit the numbers, Kim, we wanted. We opened the store on a budget wise or whatever, which we haven't hit a budget in a while on opening the store because I guess I buy too many plants or whatever, TVs,
Yes.
landscaping. But I
another
will say
discussion.
this, what's cool about you, Kim, though, is that you always say, okay, let's not celebrate too long. What are you going to do next period? What are you going to do next year?
Yes.
How are we going to keep evolving? How are we going to keep doing better? So it's cool because that is a challenge, Kim, for this company to see what's next and what they do. And I mean, they've taken this and they still sell this stuff and they sell a lot of good camping stuff. But when you go from 75 million to 150 million, your stock market, your investors, your leadership teams are going to be put on a lot of challenge. You can't go back to 75 million. You got to keep it going or things happen. And that's when you see companies struggle. So it's anxious to see because they did a great thing. They had they partnered with some, because Starbucks wasn't stupid. They were like, hey, let's get a piece of this.
Yeah.
And Target,
For
I want a
sure.
piece of that. And there might be more. I don't know. Tesla might be saying, hey, I want a piece of this and put one on the rocket. I don't know. But, it's cool.
Hey,
That-
great idea,
I
Stanley.
love that you look at it that way. You threw a curveball at me saying, what's they going to do next? So, but, I want to say this, though. Where I look at it too is and I'm thinking myself or you guys listening, how do I think the problem is too with leadership. Like I look at these guys who led this company. I really want to know about them. Is it a family operation? Was it a CEO that had to make this change? Like how do I get it there? And then when it failed, how do I not fail? Like we've had stores that were like struggling and you're like, no, we're not failing. We're going to redo this store. We're going to reinvent it. And I feel like, Stanley, what we've done with a couple of our stores that were struggling, and now they're back on top of the world.
Yeah.
So I feel like, a lot of the problems with leadership is people have egos, and they don't want to change. They don't want to pivot. I mean, you go back to Bennigan's. Who was leading that company? And he said, hey, why aren't we changing? Steak and Ale, remember those places? That was great brands. We grew up on those, but they never revolved. They never innovated. They never brought in different opportunities. So I always say this at our table. We always hire smarter people than us, and we want to listen to them. And I think as an ego, that's a lot of people have an ego trip. And I don't want to say it's ego, but it's like not open-minded. And I'll throw a thing at you right now. You came to me recently and said, hey, I got an idea. Kim is really good at the podcast thing too. Because she did not want to do this at first, guys, but now she's. So Justin, why don't we let Kim lead a podcast every now and then? Because she's a great leader, and because that's what she does in our meetings. She kind of what do you say? Me and you just jam back and forth. And then,
Pretty much.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
I mean, we're the ones kind of in the field and doing all the things, and sometimes we just need to be reined in and very matter of fact. This is what let's keep on track. Keeps us on track is probably the best way.
Yeah.
But we're doing most of the talking most of the time, and
She brings us
she's
in.
right in the middle of
And
it.
you brought this up to me. You came in my office and said that, and I said, "That's a dadgum great idea."
Yeah.
But me as if I had an ego, I'd be like, "No, I want to sit in the lead seat. I'm the head guy." And I thought, no, and immediately like, man, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I want to evolve this podcast. I want to evolve our company. I want to grow it. So anybody comes to me, I have an open mind to like, hey, let's shift, pivot, because I'm not the smartest guy in the world. And I just learned really quickly to follow smart people and listen to smart people and learn from smart people and learn from dumb people too.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
it's made bad decisions.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I think, Chris, really, to go back to your question, I feel like in order for you to grow, you have to accept change.
Yep.
And the uncomfortable zone is where you're growing the most, you know? So me being in this seat is in my uncomfortable zone, but if I never get here,
That's right.
then I'll never be growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. And I'm not ready for that yet, for sure.
Hey,
So,
I'll tell you this, I'm pretty comfortable right here.
yeah.
Anywhere I am with you two guys, leading the ship, let's go.
Yeah, and so basically, as a leader in this company, being uncomfortable is okay, something I'm okay with. It's something that Justin pushes me on the IT of things, and you push me on the being at the forefront of the face of the company kind of thing. And so I, just as a leader in our industry, that's, you know, if I'm not challenged and if I'm not uncomfortable, I'm not growing.
So I wrap that
So
up.
that's my perspective.
I wrap it all up in the business side too. Stanley, did they feel comfortable switching to this, to that, to get into a growth model or what, and partner with Starbucks? No, they've been open-minded with it and challenging with it. And like you said, what's next? So I think you need to do that. So looking at the Stanley model is a great model.
Yeah, yeah. So great discussion today,
It's awesome
guys.
discussion. I did, yeah.
Good insight from everybody. We are, as a small business, looking into a very large business, watching them from the sidelines, learning and growing and getting out of our comfort zone to, you know, to lead us to the next level in our business. It was great to hear from you guys. Hopefully, you guys out there in our audience will take some nuggets from our conversation today and push through and grow and do your inspiring things that you're doing out there.
Right, inspire to be more, baby.
Yes,
you know?
Aspire to be more. So remember, go subscribe to our podcast. We need subscribers. We need you to subscribe. If you've liked this discussion, go hit the thumbs up. Give us a, hey, we like that kind of discussion.
We love
that would be
comments
great.
too.
Yeah,
I love
give
to hear
us some
comments, you know. We need some inspiring comments too. We love to hear topics from this. This actually topic came from some comments that we've had in our team that want to hear of us are looking on the Stanley. So give us some ideas, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you guys have a great week and have a blessed and aspiring
We
day.
appreciate you guys. Thank y'all.